Well, we told you that we're going to have this whole show dedicated to agriculture. That's what we decided to do this morning. Tomorrow is Farmers' Day, but we just wanted to speak the language of the ordinary farmer. And for today, no politician has been invited to help us do the discussions. We just also want to get to terms with the issues that are happening with the ordinary farmer who is cultivating that's 1 acreage of land, and whether the whole theme that we're having for tomorrow's farmers, the agriculture moving Ghana beyond aid, whether this is achievable. Well, I have some good friends here with me. Edward Kariwe is always helping us do some discussions when it comes to the subject of agriculture. He's the General Secretary for the General Agriculture Workers Union. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
He's in suits, incidentally. I haven't seen him in years.
Yes.
It doesn't happen, but for good purpose. And good morning to you, Eddie.
Thank you, sir.
And I have my own, we all attended the same school, Bishop Herman College in Pando in the Volta region. So Anthony Morrison, my senior though. My senior, right?
No, I was a junior.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so CEO, Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. Good morning, thanks for joining me.
Good morning.
It's great always to have you here. But let's, the Chamber basically is the umbrella body. You do the advocacy for the various...
private sector.
Yes, basically. And the whole dream is that we have a value chain, agribusiness, etc. But let's talk the numbers and what the realities are. We've had some marginal improvement, well, I won't call it marginal, some improvement if you compare what the numbers were from the last 3, 4, 5 years over the last 2 years. So it's seen some improvement. We've also had some policy interventions, planting for food and jobs. We're told last year that it's created over 740,000 jobs, we're told. In what quantum? Well, we're still trying to get the minister to give us which areas, which regions, and what categories of young people have been roped in. But what really is happening on the ground as far as this is concerned, in terms of the ordinary farmer getting access to the implements they want, the funding that are required, and also whether it's the inputs in fertilizer, etc. What is happening on the ground?
Well, there are two things. You have the officialdom message about what is happening on the ground, which is looking good. You also then have the reality on the ground. So we are told that farmers have been given inputs. They have the fertilizers, they have the certified seed. Yes, on the ground, farmers have actually received inputs, but some have received the inputs far late than they had expected. And that is what is on the ground. So some too have not even had the inputs at all. Some had it at a very high cost because they had to eventually buy it from the open market. So it's a mixture. And it depends on where you stand. If you are from officialdom, then it's rosy. If you are not from there, then you have the challenges that are peculiar to you.
For your chamber, does that sync with what the stories are from your members, but also those that you tend to deal with?
Well, thank you very much. I think very good morning to all your lovely listeners and members of the chamber, including the board and my management. The thing about this planting for food and jobs, let's get it down to production. For production to be effective, you're talking about timely availability of some resources, and these are very critical to the farmer. When you look at what we have, I have always put this in 3 segments: pre-production, harvest, and after harvest. Now, what are the conditions available to the farmer at the point of production? Are the machinery services readily available for him to plow and get his field ready? No. Are the inputs, which the seeds and the fertilizers, readily available when he needs it? And talking about seeds, we're talking about high quality seeds that will help the farmer get his yields per acre.
Well, we have them. We have CSR and others. We also
that's another point we're going to come to. Then the fertilizers. How timely are the fertilizers available? The quality of the fertilizer and its application in terms of is the farmer actually doing 15-15?
But we have extension services, so they're
Yes,
supposed to complement the efforts of the farmer.
Well,
what
exactly.
are you talking about?
The extension services are doing their best, but
on the ground,
for the farmer, it's a different issue. The extension services requires logistics to be able to support the farmer. Are these logistics available? Just a few months ago, 3 weeks ago, we saw the Minister for Agriculture going around the country distributing logistics, okay? After the farming season, when we are coming almost to the point of harvest, okay, they need it before harvest. They need to engage farmers, do demonstration, take them to demonstration farms, okay, make sure that the introduction of new breeds of seeds, the introduction of different type of fertilizer application systems, the farmers are acquainted with this and understand its usage. You do that not at the point of harvest. Okay, yes, though at the point of harvest, we also required some agriculture essential support, which are the harvesters and all that, and also the aggregation and the storage are also critical, so to avoid the post-harvest loss that we're talking about.
I see. But we also know that ultimately when we have to do the transition of the discussion to the Farmers' Day, it's 34 years since we had the first one. But it was also within a certain context. In 1985, we're having some difficulties, weren't we? Having a year or two from 1983, having those difficulties. I remember at the time I was eating a lot of yellow corn. The dough or the paste to be used for banku instead of these days the young people would not know.
Yeah.
But let's look at that time, the history of it, and how we've transitioned to this point.
Well, I think if you look at the Farmers' Day celebration, it was instituted to serve a purpose. And it was necessary at the time because the history is clear that by 1983 we had bushfires throughout the country. About 1 million Ghanaians were returned from Nigeria, and then the country was blacklisted by the IMF and World Bank, and the international community. We could not access support from the international community. So the farmers produced to feed the country, so there was a need to actually acknowledge their effort for sustaining the country at that time. Even though there are some...
So it was more motivational?
Well, whatever you call it. And there was also quite some political economy reasons why the Farmers' Day was also established. It wasn't purely economic or whatever. There was a political economy reason also as well. You know, farmers are a mass organization, and the government at the time also needed an alternative mass base.
Support, yeah.
You know, farmers at least provided that.
That's the provisional defense?
No.
That's not...
No, you recall that in the 1983 thereabout, the government was not actually in good relations with the working people led by the TUC, because so in order to have a balance, or they created that mass base. But I'm saying these are all economic, political economy reasons. But then, now the point is that we have always called, and not only today but years before, that we need a comprehensive review of the way we celebrate the Farmers' Day. You know, the annual ritual is such that it does not even inure to the benefit of the farmers.
Why?
For instance, what benefit will a farmer who gets an award for producing 100 bags of maize, for instance, and thereafter cannot sell that maize? Where is the market? Where is the market?
Why is there not the market?
The market is not there.
Because?
Because we have the other countervailing policies somewhere are undermining the market. Because everything starts with the market. If you're a producer, you look at the market. The market determines how much you should produce and how your investment should be. It is only in agriculture that it's very difficult to determine the market in advance. And that is a major concern. And you see government policies that allow the influx of cheap imports into the economy to undermine the market.
Okay. So you're saying that it's only in agriculture that the land I'm tilling, if it's 10 acres, I don't know who is going to buy and how much they're going to buy, when they are going to buy.
That is it.
Even what will happen to the crops.
That's suicidal.
That is the reality that we have. So we need a total review of it. You know, no one goes into farming just because I want to be given an award. We should address the challenges that face farmers, you know, rather than, you know, thinking that when we have one day to celebrate them and to give awards, then that is enough. Because the challenges remain. We should have to also look at to what extent do we use the Farmers' Day celebration to address the peculiar and fundamental challenges facing the farmers.
You don't think we do?
I don't think so.
He was talking about challenges. What are then the challenges? Is it that we're still farming on subsistence level just because we want to augment, or purely for commercial purposes? Because you can still farm on subsistence level, but for commercial purposes. I was just doing a bit of reading yesterday. India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and all those places, they don't have large acreages of farms all the time. They still also rope in the small acreage farmers.
Yes, it's because they do holding farming. And before I come to talking about the history of the Farmers' Day, I want to say a good morning to some of the starters, the pioneers behind the Farmers' Day. So I want to say a very good morning to Mr. Apia, who is the administrator of the National Farmers Award Winners Office, and also His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, and our good friend Stephen Obimpe, Commander Stephen Obimpe. They've been very instrumental in the history of the Farmers' Day.
For political, economic reasons.
Well, for whatever reason it started, I think that...
borrowing his phrase.
The idea was very good, and I think because of innovation, the times have changed, and we need to retune. He spoke about the fact that the awards being given to the National Best Farmer doesn't inure to the benefit of the citizenry. And I think, and I agree with him, because at the end of the day, when the farmer farms, it's the consumer who buys, the market that patronize what he produces. And I think that giving a house to a National Best Farmer doesn't inure to the benefit of the citizens. What I was proposing on another media station was that the 400,000 cedis, or the $100,000, could be used to set up a moldy farm. If for the past 34 years, all the awards that have been given out were used to actually set up a production center where it employs no less than 20 people, where it is shunning, if it's livestock, probably 100,000 livestock every 6 weeks into the industry. If it's maize or cereals or grains, is shunning out about 100,000 tons of maize into the industry. You are feeding citizens, you are creating jobs, you are returning our little foreign currencies that we have, and at the end of the day, we are building an economy. So you have 3 people that you are spending an average of $200,000 on. I mean, $200,000.
Whilst the rest of, or the majority of them are poor.
Exactly. $200,000 can set up a model farm and look at sustainable farming. That means that for the past 34 years...
And if you talk about a model farm, we'll go to YouTube with the machines and all that, as they do in the UK, elsewhere, with even scientific experimental practices.
ADB should actually be holding stake in 34 major farms by now.
And we're not talking small farms.
We're not talking about small farms. ADB should be holding
200,000 capitalized farms.
Exactly. 200,000
like each of them.
In today's Ghana money, that's about $1.2 million, Ghana cedis, okay? And ADB probably having a 30% stake in those farms. These farms would have been worth about more than $1 million by now, all right? And these farms, 34 of them, should be taking care of all our imports. We shouldn't be importing rice, we shouldn't be importing soya, maize, and all what have you.
Last time we spent $600 million.
No, $2 billion.
Yes,
$2 billion.
You're talking rice. So.
Yes, on only rice imports. Yeah. Okay, so look, it's about strategy. We need to be strategic about our approach. It's not about just going out there having fanfare. And yes, of course, we can always organize conferences. We can always organize some sort of agriculture, farm fair programs, exhibitions.
So you're saying the money just goes down the drain? Really?
Exactly, because
of poor structure in implementation.
Look, to tell you the truth, the 10 farmers or the 20 farmers they have selected from all the regions, they have more than 2 houses. They have a lot of cars.
They're already rich.
They're already rich. And
or they get by. It's not as if they're struggling.
No, they're not.
Okay, so now let's come to the ordinary one. And there's a picture we've inserted in our TV today. If you take the inserts there.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the poor people, right?
Yes.
They are the farmers.
The peasant farmers.
But they are the people who are going to get olonka.
Yeah.
Put it together by the traders in Agbogboshi and bring it in bags, right?
Yeah.
What do they face?
Well, they face complete neglection because nobody knows about them. They depend on themselves. No one cares about them. They do their own business. And we need to approach this, our economic development, from a right perspective. These people have got the right to produce because they are Ghanaians, because they live in Ghana. They have got the right to have access to the market. They have the right to have, price working for them. So these are the people that we have left. Their challenges, no one cares about them. No one cares about them, and yet they feed all of us. What we want is that government should target those people and support them. You see, or the policy should be said that those people are supported. Why we have this?
If you say support, what do you mean? Whatever support, technical, financial.
You pick them, you grow them out, because businesses grow. These people can become commercialized farmers, and that's why you are saying small farming. Yet they are into business. You let them become more efficient, and then you also target the chemicals that they use, and you can see that we'll be eating healthy food. But if you neglect people like this, and then, for instance, they get an idea that, if I pick this particular chemical, it will do this, it will do that, and before you realize the results are different, and therefore it is unhealthy for all of us, then you have put all of us into jeopardy. But let me see, the reality that we are getting is the institutions upon which agriculture is anchored are gradually being, I don't know what to say, destroyed.
You're talking about the supporting institutions.
For instance, if you take CSIR,
that's the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research.
They have got 13 research institutions.
Yes, and that's a CSIR.
Majority of them work for agriculture. 9. And they 9 of them, and they release, new varieties of and so on. They go and see their state. The lands that they even have, even the poultry, this year, for instance, they said that they are adding the poultry.
Rearing for food and jobs.
And so on. Rearing for food and jobs.
Morrison seems to be working at the ministry.
Yeah. But the reality is that if you go to Pokwasi now, as we talk, you move there, you see that they are destroying the lands.
And Pokwasi is one of the CSR
lands.
Yes.
And those lands are housing what? Rare species of grass that you cannot get anywhere. And I don't know why we think.
So we're using them for residential properties.
That residential. If you want, do we have land in Ghana here, particularly in the city, which is free? And I'm telling you, it's pathetic. Some PhD and MSc students' projects are also being destroyed because that is where their projects are. And it's like that throughout the country. Who is caring about them?
And that is the science and technology part of the sector.
Of the sector, of industry, and of everything. You take ADB. It's a bank. Yes, but the bank has gone into universal banking now. ADB.
So now it's not a niche banking again. It doesn't do niche.
I don't understand, because last year we were told that they provided $100,000 dollars. Where did they get that money? It means from their profit. When they build the houses for farmers, is it from their profit? Meanwhile, today, there is a conscious, deliberate effort to do what? Is it to consolidate, to merge, or to do what with ADB?
And you're saying it defeats the objective or the focus?
It undermines the institution that is set up for financing agriculture.
Do they finance agriculture?
Why not? Oh, okay. Because even if you look at the Planting for Food and Jobs, all the preparatory costs for its launching at GOSO in 2017, it was mainly financed by ADB. And we can all see that they finance mainly, I mean, they are the main financiers of
agriculture,
the Farmers' Day. And these institutions are being destroyed. You look at irrigation authority, it is a shadow of itself.
It's a rundown institution.
It's a rundown institution.
I grew up in Ashama. We used to have a
very good. So pick the institutions one after the other. You see that the institutions upon which agriculture is supposed to rest on. Look at the Minister of Agriculture itself. And we've just heard the minister saying that they don't have enough budget for the Farmers' Day celebration.
So we're paying lip service. Nice speeches.
So,
but on ground, implementation and the commitment zero.
And what is happening at the Minister of Agriculture is that, one, the ministry is now, like, in the districts is under Minister of Local Government. Confusion. Who takes care of it?
It doesn't have an autonomy in itself.
No, they are under the district assemblies, municipal assemblies, no resources. The new districts that have been created, the staff, they are not adequate like the extension services. It's not even about that, but the fact that those who are there, they don't have the logistics to work. So if the minister can come out and complain that he doesn't have enough money for the Farmers' Day celebration, then it tells you that there's a bigger picture about financing agriculture in this country.
No, but the only way we can go to the next level, be like India, be like maybe the Vietnamese, the Thais, etc. Let's not even talk about Singapore. They advanced, but the Bangladeshis, etc. Yeah. Because they also have a certain structure of their economy like ours. The people, the demographics are poor, but then you said they practice what? Holding, the English you said?
Yes, so they have what we do have it here.
We do, eh?
Yeah, but you see, the difference is that in India, they have registered their farmers. They have registered their farms. They know the number of workers on each farm. So in terms of equity, a lot of things are taken care of. Insurance system in India is well developed for agriculture sector. Currently, the chamber is working with 1 or 2 Indian experts to develop a similar thing for Ghana. We have called, the Chamber of Agribusiness have called for digital or electronic registration of all farmers across board. Now, if we have 14 million farmers in Ghana.
Do we?
Yes, of course, even more. Our population now is 32 million. Yeah. And
half of the
64%
are farmers.
73% of the rural economy is agriculture.
70 what?
73%, according to the World Bank records. Now, what we are saying is this: if out of 40 million, you can get 10 million people to pay 1 cedi a month as tax, you're making 10 million every month. Okay? Times 12, that is 12 million. That is 120 million. That could go a long way to develop a sustainable financing model for the industry, which we are calling for the institutionalization of the Special Agriculture Fund, Development Fund. Okay? Let me tell you, you mentioned India, you mentioned Vietnam, you mentioned all these areas.
That's where we get the rice and those things from.
No agriculture developed countries has ever developed without the using of the military. America, they are where they are today because the military was pivot in the development of smaller machines, smaller instruments.
They build bridges
and other things to develop the industry. Where is
because they go to where people will not go.
Where is the communication between the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and the military? What's the communication between Ministry of Food and Agriculture and the prison service? What's the communication between Ministry of Agriculture and the parastatal agencies, the quangos we have? You know, let's be serious as a country. Over the past 35 years, the military were doing, you lived in Ashama, Ajay Kojo, the whole enclave was poultry industry for the military. Go back there today. They are now residential facilities.
Yes, sir.
You understand? Now, go to Western region.
I'm told it used to be a farming area.
The military used to have palm plantation. Okay? Go to Eastern, cocoa. What are they now? Support system. In fact, they do not even have agriculture as part of their special services within the army. Coming to the other quangos of government, we are talking about lack of financing for agriculture. Then again, you can count as many as 30 parastatal agencies whose responsibilities is one area of agriculture, resources being dissipated all over.
Example,
you go to Ministry of Trade. Under Ministry of Trade, you have the GIPC and the other one, a lot of them, you know. Then
the Ghana Export Promotion Authority.
Yes, all of them doing agri things. Okay,
supposed to.
Well, they are doing seed.
Ideally, they are supposed to.
Well, I don't know. They are doing seed breeding, okay, for pineapple and other things. If you go to Ministry of Trade, MOTI, they're doing a lot of agriculture stuff. Agriculture now is a regulatory thing. If you don't regulate your industry with agriculture, it's trade.
So as a chamber, your worry is that it's everybody's doing everything.
Everybody is doing everything. We have little money available. Bring all these parastatal agencies under one umbrella body. Let's have a regulatory authority. Because let me give you one instance. My company used to do, we do contract farming. We did contract farming for a client in Bronga Hafo, 100 acres of ginger. At the point of doing our projections and everything, we were expecting at least not less than 300 Ghana cedis per bag. After five and a half months when we were about to harvest, ginger have flown in from neighboring countries. Dry ginger, cheaper. We couldn't even sell at 120. You understand?
Talk about that.
So if you don't have a regulator actually taking into consideration, what do we lack? Doing some statutory projections, okay? Statistics, data ought to be available. He's talking about the fact that the likes of Council for Scientific and Industrial Research are not world resource. Apart from the money they get from the developed agencies, government support to the industry is almost... I mean, government over the years have never been able to support research.
I think we have to put that. It's not as if that we're against MPP government. Or we're talking government.
Ghana.
Let's not put MPP NDC here.
So
this is not drone matter.
It ought to be... Look, before you go out to pick information, you do your research.
Sure.
You're able to come out and segment.
Before speaking to you, you had to...
Exactly. Research. You segment. Where'd you go? Where to pick information for? Who to talk to? How do we do this in Ghana without proper research? Accurate research, timely research, and build data, analyze data. Do we have agriculture data analysts who are consistently analyzing data about the country's development?
I see you're at pains. It's a difficult situation. Why is it that other countries with the same structure of the agriculture we have are doing better at all that in relation to getting markets for the farmers? You mentioned it, but he started the whole conversation, especially with ginger. And if you look at what is coming from elsewhere, it's watery, etc. Well, but it's also good because if we can have those varieties, we can use it for juice and some other things. So, But at the end of the day, just like the way we're doing for the other sectors, we say we want to introduce a policy, make it work, whilst at the same time, we allow other competitive products into our markets. So it's like we're one step forward, two step back. That's the situation. Is that the same thing in the agricultural sector? And can you give me scenarios?
Well, that is exactly what is happening in the agricultural sector. You know, these governments in the past have actually tried to work in the agricultural sector, and you have laudable policies, you know, very good policies. And today we have the Planting for Food and Jobs. It's a good policy. But you see, what farmers are looking for is the market. walk on the streets and you see cheap imported agricultural produce in the market. So that alone tells you that there's a lack of collaboration and the communication he's talking about between the Ministry of Agriculture and the other state institutions.
For example, the last time we wanted to look at inflationary trends on the market.
Yeah.
I saw huge bags of onion.
Yes.
Coming from, I'm told, Niger and Burkina Faso. And then tomatoes. I'm told some is even coming for as near as Togo. Togo.
The question we ask ourselves is,
how?
Why should Ghana import tomatoes from Burkina Faso?
Or Togo.
Or Togo.
There's a time in the year we go to Togo.
Yeah, when we have a better environment, so to speak. Because they are consistent. Look, take the Farmers' Day celebrations, for instance. Every year, we have a new theme. Every year, we have a new theme for the Farmers' Day celebration. One team will say, eat what you grow, or grow what you eat. Another team, this year's theme says, agriculture, moving something.
Now, this year it is agriculture, moving Ghana beyond it.
Another one will say, investing in agriculture. The questions we need to ask, last year's theme that we had for agriculture, have we been able to fulfill that one? We have not. So you can see that within the over 30 years, we have over 30 different themes. So it becomes an academic job. Sit down, fashion out a theme that is looking nice. Whether you fulfill it or not, it does not matter. This is what we are doing with agriculture. And this is what we are doing with our development sector. Now, when you see the policy of the government, it's saying that transforming the economy through the use of agriculture. Now, if agriculture is supposed to be the base for our economic transformation, then you have to actually check what we are doing to agriculture. Today, if you go to the agricultural institutions, that's training colleges, their students are not given allowances to stay there. It tells you that, are we serious about it?
But we give for teaching?
No, that is training colleges, not
the agricultural colleges.
No, the agricultural colleges, they don't have immediate employment. They don't have ready employment. When they come out, they are not absorbed automatically.
Whilst anonymous secondary, they should have been part of the whole setup.
The whole
extension
setup.
Services, giving
Very
advice,
good. Exactly.
And then from there there will be opportunity for them to go for further studies, go and learn.
Very good.
Science and technology.
So when you are sitting at where we are, and you hear that about 80% of the extension officers are almost due for retirement, then you now ask, what is the link between them and then the agricultural institutions so that they can replace them? That is not there. So going into the future, you see that we are going to have a problem with agriculture. So, well, we just pay the lip service. We come out with very good ways that we are supporting agriculture. And sometimes when we use the word support, I feel bad. No, public officials, oh, we are helping farmers. No, you are not help. You know, we know the word help is not compulsory. It is a duty you are performing. They have a right to access support from the state.
And clearly, it looks like if you take our demographics, the larger number are into the sector, agriculture. 14.6 million, you said, or 14 points.
Yeah, 14.6 million.
Yeah, thereabout. And it also means that perhaps maybe the investment should have been going there appropriately. You know, we always say the president had this phrase he introduced during the 2016 Belgian economy, who want to move around, you know, all that kind of thing.
Yes.
Now, the developed countries, and even those that have cloned their sort of development, Asia, and now they're overtaking every part of the world.
Yeah.
How did they do it in such a way that they've been able to situate it within their socio-economic, socio-cultural context?
Okay, thank you very much. These are very strategic areas that we need to be discussing. And sometimes some of these things, you want to discuss them openly, but sometimes understanding issues within the wider context, you know. As we speak here, we sit here today, US and European Union are discussing the future of agriculture for the next 2020. Yeah. US is talking about a 2018 Farm Bill, okay?
Yeah.
And European Union is talking about a common policy. They are going to discuss in the next 3 or 4 days the future of agriculture on a common platform, these two. What are the prospects for Ghana and Africa? What are our own covert or overt strategic policy we want to implement?
Zero.
What are our own modified national agriculture policy?
Plenty for food and jobs.
What are our own way of market-oriented productive agriculture strategy? Thank you. So you see where we are now as a country. This spells the very picture of what we are looking at. We are in a world of agriculture now, is in a world of globalized market. And for you to be competitive in a globalized market, you require to be either a competitor or maybe having a comparative scenario with your fellow competitors on that globalized market, which we don't. Even the cocoa that we pride ourselves in, we don't. If Ivory Coast is making over $10 billion and we are making $2 billion,
then there's a problem.
There's a major problem. And don't forget, if you go to Izima Enclave, over a quarter or 30% of Ivory Coast farmers are Ghanaians, and they are farming in Ivory Coast. You see, when he was talking about the import and stuff, if you go to Aplau, Denu, this enclave, majority of the people who do the
last time I went to Lomé,
they are all Ghanaians.
The last time I went to Lomé, I was surprised.
And the reason why you see the produce coming to Ghana is because they are Ghanaians and they want to bring back their produce so that Ghanaians can enjoy. They think that, not that they think, they have done their calculations and know, okay, it's better for us to bring it back to Ghana. They make a lot of money. At the same time, they are selling to their own folks. So you make a lot of
but you can't say that for Burkina Faso. I mean, tomatoes.
No, we have a lot of Ghanaians.
Have you seen onion? Onion.
Yes. Look, I was there. Onion. The strawberry, now we are going there to learn how to do strawberry and come back to Ghana.
Yeah, Sabolai.
So, it's mind-blowing. So personally, yes, we are discussing all this, but look at even financing of agriculture, taking into consideration the CADEP. Okay.
All right. So talking about financing, Dr. Owusue Friyakoto, who is the Minister of Agriculture, has disclosed there are not inadequate funds to celebrate this year's National Farmers Day. He said the budget allocated to the celebration this year was just not enough. Let's hear him.
Budgetary implications. The constraints of the national budget have been a major drawback to this year's preparations, given that some budgetary allocation of 2 million cedis approved for the fiscal year 2016 and 2017 was maintained for 2018. In effect, the ministry had had to rely heavily on sponsorship from the corporate Ghana and other development partners to ensure a successful celebration. Going forward, it is a hope that the budget approved for the National Farmers Day will reflect the status of agriculture as the lead sector for propelling Ghana's economy to the height of prosperity that we all desire. I trust, therefore, that in reviewing the 2019 budget estimates for the Ministry of Agriculture, this matter will seriously engage the attention of the House and receive favorable consideration. Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, it is my singular honor and privilege to invite honorable members of this august House, led by your able self, to join His Excellency the President of the Republic and other well-meaning Ghanaians to celebrate the 34th edition of the National Farmers Day in the regional capital of the Northern Region, Tamale, on Friday, 7 December 2018. I thank you for your kind attention, Mr. Speaker.
That saying is not surprising. I mean, the whole sector itself, Charlie, is wahala. But we also know that all of you could be watching who would be farmers and would want you to contribute. Even if you're not a farmer, you buy farm produce, you associate or empathize with all the things that my guests have been talking about this morning, and yourself, you observe. So please call us 0302211 or 0302211 or 2. So please call us. Let's hear from you. But it's another event.
Yeah.
Another time of the year. We always do that also. For example, we just did desert tomatoes.
Yeah.
We're talking about tomatoes brought from Burkina Faso, etc.
Yeah.
JoyNews, we always do all the best we can to bring all the issues. But it looks like, how do we get those who help formulate, implement policy to listen? Because at the end of the day, I mean, they are governing or they are managing all the issues.
Well, I think that it appears to me that they are not listening. You know,
obviously.
It appears to me they are not listening. And let me look at agricultural financing. You'll recall that Morrison was talking about agricultural development fund. Last year, we gave our press statement on this Farmers Day. And one of the suggestions we made is that, look, we should look at the Farmers Day celebration properly. One, the Farmers Day celebration also goes with a holiday. Now, we raised the wrath of people who did not understand it, and indeed we had it, particularly from
you also had people coming to your private line and timeline.
Because we said they should take off the holiday.
Well, let me just hold you. I have Prince Menu Bafo, who is calling us from Tamale. Good morning to you, Prince.
Good morning, and I guess good morning to your panelists, and good morning to Ghanaians that are listening to you.
Since you're calling me from Tamale, I have to greet you good morning. Desiba.
I'm actually not a native of Tamale.
You don't have to be a native. Once you live there for a day, you should know. Okay, good. Okay, yeah. Please contribute.
Okay, so I joined the program midway, and I couldn't get exactly from the beginning. But what I want to say is that we need, as a country, to take agriculture very serious. And we need to look at the policies that are governing agriculture very serious. Most of the times, what we do is lip service. We talk a lot about it, but we don't take any practical measures to make agriculture the way we want to see it. So, to the government, we need policies governing agriculture, especially in my area, which is the poultry industry. We cannot go to Brazil and bring chicken into Ghana. We cannot go to the U.S. to bring chicken to Ghana to eat. When in natural sense, we can have chicken grown right here in Ghana. By the time you go to Brazil or U.S. to bring chicken, that chicken would have been ready for the market. So we need to take those issues seriously. But from the little I know, a lot of the people who are supposed to formulate policies for us are also the ones that are involved in the importation of this frozen chicken. And we need to
wait.
look at it.
You are saying that those who are occupying the offices, their cronies, their business partners are the same people who are importing the chicken.
Exactly.
And they are supposed to take decisions for local poultry farmers to contribute and improve the poultry market or sector.
Yeah.
Okay. You are spelling doom and gloom. It won't happen, right?
These are the challenges we are sitting with.
Well,
I mean, it was in the news. I'm not too sure about which particular media, but there was a whole. The Frozen Chicken Importers Association. I mean, they were in the media complaining about people in government getting concessions for bringing in frozen chicken into the country against them, getting competitive advantage against them. It was reported in the media.
Well, thank you very much, Prince Benu. This is fascinating. Ghana we there, right? But I have Abdul Rahim Dumbo. Good morning to you. You're calling us from Wa. Good morning.
Yes, please. Good morning, Mr. Roland, and your good educative guest you have this morning.
Thank you, Abdul.
Yes, please. It baffles me. What are we even going to celebrate as a nation in agriculture?
Are you a farmer?
I'm not a farmer because they make the situation in such a way that even the youth of today don't have interest in going into agriculture. Because late 90s, when we were in school, especially the agric books that we were studying, all the schools in Ghana here, you can boast of having, especially down to Upper West here, you can boast of having gardens for yourself. And you know even how to plant this produce in your own way. And you can make a garden, prepare everything by yourself, even before you leave the basic school. But now they change everything because of aid that we collect from the white people. They convince us to leave what we were using that was beneficial to us. Then we adopt what they are using and creating market for themselves. And we are killing everything that we are having here. Initially, we don't need to have fertilizer before we can grow our produce here, and then we harvest a lot. But now you can't do that. All the farmlands that we have now, if you don't apply fertilizer, you cannot even have a bag of maize there with 2-acre land. So what are we doing to ourselves? The people who are supposed to implement the good policies for the nation to benefit, they will be the very people to own these businesses. Then they will go to the white man land, bring their things, create market for them, and then force us to buy those things and turn our own produce as something that we will consume, and then we will get sickness from it. So what are we doing?
I have Abdul Idris calling us from Akwitia. Good morning to you, Abdul.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Host.
Yeah, good morning. Please go ahead. What's your comment? Please make it short.
What I want to say is that we, the consumers, what we care for is how to get the thing. If the thing is cheap, that's what we want. We don't care whether it is coming from abroad or whether it is produced in this country.
Are you a farmer?
No, I'm not a farmer.
Okay.
I'm not a farmer. I'm a citizen, but what we care for is that we can buy it at affordable prices. But what I've observed is that most of the farm produce produced in this country are very expensive to buy. So when I find something coming from abroad and it's very cheap for me, I don't care whether it's coming from somewhere. Based on my financial strength, then I'll go for it. I will not tell that person to go and bring me something that's coming from a farmer from Ghana, if I can't buy it. So what I want to say is that the government should try as much as possible to subsidize for the farmers in this country so that their produce will be cheaper for us to buy. Because if I'm feeling hungry, you cannot tell me that, oh, this chicken is coming from China, don't buy it because it's from China, so buy this one from a Ghanaian. Meanwhile, the prices, if I compare the prices, the one coming from China is cheaper. I'll go for it. That's it.
Well, what is happening in economics, we have what we call market forces. If you do understand the whole concept, you understand it. But thank you very much. Calling us from Akwitia, Abdul Idris. Now let's go to Yendi. Yusuf Bele is calling us. Good morning to you, Yusuf.
Good morning, Bright. What do you call it?
Roland. My name is Roland.
Roland, yes.
Bright. You said Bright.
Yusuf calling from Yendi.
Yeah, Yusuf, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the program.
Oh, please, you're invited. And please make it short.
Okay. You see, what I want government to do is there should be a deliberate policy to address the myriad of challenges farmers are facing. For example, this year, I wanted to farm about 40 acres of maize, but the subsidy that they gave me was only 10 acres subsidy. If I were to get at least those fertilizers, I would have cultivated more than what I was expecting. So what I need government to do is to come up with a deliberate policy, financing to those at the grassroots level, so that together we'll build Ghana beyond it. Other than that, if there is no policy direction of agriculture in this country, we are going to face a myriad of challenges in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was short. I love that contribution from Yusuf Bele from Yendi. I have Richard Kwesi from Akachi North. Richard.
Yes, sir.
Where exactly are you calling us from? Akachi North
Please,
is...
I'm calling from Akachi North District.
Okay. How do you pronounce your surname?
Kwesi.
Kwesi. Okay, please go ahead, Richard. Keep it short, okay?
Okay, most grateful. Please, I want to say a big thank you to our farmers for having performed the role, continuing to feed our state. Yes, please, I will. So, without saying much, the agricultural sector has a problem. And the earlier our leaders begin to look at it and stop paying us the lip services, it will help us all. What is happening is we are to be giving motorbikes as AEs to run our services. But as we speak now, the water region is cut off. And we want to know why all those things are happening. If we really want the agricultural sector to perform, then they must be rapid in their policy. Thank you very much.
Well, Richard Kwesi, the same thing. I'm not sure it's a deliberate cutting off of a water region. Actually, it's a countrywide problem. Richard Kwesi calling us from Akachi North District. But let's go to Bongo, and he's our last caller. Philip and so you're our last caller. Please keep it short and tell us what it is you want to comment on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Roland. And I thank your panelists for that elaborate discussion. The celebration of Farmers' Day is good. It is a way of motivating farmers. But for me, from Bongo, I'm a farmer. Let's say I can farm about, 10 acres, and I need about, 10 fertilizers to produce my dish. I wouldn't get. But they use that kind of chunk money to only build a house for a person. That shows that at least we don't know what we are doing as a country.
It's supposed to motivate Philippines, so.
Yeah. So they should distribute the resources to every farmer so that we all farm and contribute to the national development. But giving one house and tractor to one person is not a sign of motivation to a farmer. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, Philip and so, and wrenching his heart out. Not really happy with the 100,000 Ghana dollars that will be given to the national best farmer. But thanks for speaking to us from Bongo. But let's conclude our discussions, and I give you just 2 minutes. I'll give 2 minutes to Mr. Kariwetu. But what will be your conclusive remarks so far? How do we have to keep the conversation going? Perhaps maybe they'll listen one day.
Yes, well, 2 minutes is not enough, but I'll make it short. Let me tell you something. For the past 42 years, Ghana has been implementing the triplicate fertilizer application.
Which is what?
15-15-15, right?
Oh, the one we learned in school.
Yes. Oh. So that means that
it hasn't changed.
The acre of land in Vakbo has the same nutrient as the land farm.
And Vakbo is in the Volta region?
Yes.
Okay.
And land farm in a farmland in the...
Use Banda.
Well, Banda. The same 15-15 on another farm in Ejisu. The same 15-15 on another farm in Dewenya. The same 15-15 on another farm, central region, Bojosu or Kaswa. Does it mean that all our nutrients across Ghana are the same?
No science.
Me and him sitting here do not have the same gene. Me and you, obviously, no. Your blood group is different from my blood group. The nutrients on our land are not the same. And at the same time, for the past 42 years, it's the same 50-15 on rice, 50-15 on maize, 50-15 on cassava.
So there's no science to it. And that's where the extension officers and all that come in.
Listen, we are talking about no yields. If you expect to increase your yields per acre, you've been applying 50-15 on no nutrient knowledge, okay? And you're expecting your yields to go up. Population have gone up since the past 42 years, from 6 million to 32 million. And we are talking about we do not have enough products on the field. Meanwhile, the major issue we are facing is the fertilizer we are applying.
One of the major...
Well, it is. And
The other two is that we produce too much and we can't find market for
yes,
it.
of course. One of the callers was talking about pricing. Yes, of course, consumer protection is very important. But at the same time, it's very important to build your own economy.
Yes,
when the economy is not strong, you will not get a job.
That was Yusuf saying that he would buy anything, whether it's cheap or
he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
if there is no job, you can't get money to buy even the foreign.
No, he doesn't know the economics of it. You have to forgive him.
Then finally, for the policymakers, you see, Ghanaian policymakers are not interested in the micro. That is where agriculture is.
If you say micro, FM.
The micro,
underground.
The micro policy, yes.
Local.
Of course. The rural economy and all that. They are looking at the macro. The money, the huge money that comes from
GDP,
the energy, the telcos,
sector contribution to GDP like this.
Exactly. You see, they need to understand that it is very critical for them to look at.
I know.
Then we obviously understand that, yes, the major role of government is to provide some structural externalities to support the industry. But at the same time, we need them to be very, 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 very circumspect with the way they go about with agriculture. Thank you.
Mr. Kariwe.
Yeah.
He's thanked me.
Yeah.
You should thank me, then I go for a break.
Yeah, I'll thank you later on,
okay.
but not now. Let me make my submission first. Well, you see, the minister has complained about lack of resources to organize the Farmers' Day celebration. That what they've given him is grossly inadequate. That is what we have been looking at over the year. We are saying that Ghana is now a middle-income country. You know, we can't continue to do things the way we used to do them in 30 years. That is why there's the need for a complete review of the way we celebrate the Farmers' Day. That's why last year we insisted that the public holiday that is granted on that day, we asked the question, in the name of farmers, how many farmers benefit from it? How can you legislate a day for farmers to go and rest? We questioned that because the public holiday has some implications. It has cost. Who bears the cost?
That is if we sit at home.
As at last year, when we did our conservative calculations on the public holiday,
because of
Ghana
the lack
loses,
of productivity.
Yeah, for lack of productivity, because people will not go to work, Ghana loses not less than 60,000, million Ghana cedis.
Then that day.
That day. Now we are saying that let all of us go to work on that day, generate the money, just put 30%, 50% of it. That would have been 30 million in a fund. That fund will serve the purpose that Morrison was talking about, that having an agricultural development fund. It will also serve the purpose of, he needs only 2 million. They gave him only 2 million. He could have taken 5 million from that to organize the Farmers' Day, and yet we'll still have enough money. Now the other thing too is, if we don't pay particular attention to the institutions upon which agriculture rests on,
like
forget
CSIR.
it. Even the Minister of Agriculture itself, you've heard the extension officer talking about they don't have logistics to move. Look at the research institutions. Look at even ADB and all those institutions, JIDA, that is Irrigation Authority. All of them are a shadow of themselves. And that is what we need to do. Otherwise, a day will come, we will not even be able to celebrate the Farmers' Day. In any case, the Farmers' Day celebration is based on, the awards are given based on donations. How do you depend on that? And you give them awards that they don't even need. Last year, some of them even tried to return their awards because they gave them things that they did not need. How do you treat people because you are giving them award? Give them what they need. And that is the reason why some are saying that you should not even give $100,000 to one person to go and sit at home, and the rest of the farmers
like set up a farm and say that I'm using this money to set up this acreage of farm for you.
And that is why
I think, for example,
need a complete review.
I love that one from my good friend.
Complete review of the
schoolmate as well. Anthony Morrison is the chief executive for the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. And I wish you all the best with your advocacy and the things you're doing for the sector. Edward Kariwe is somebody we know very well, the General Secretary of the General Agriculture Workers Union. He's a big man. Thanks for joining me.
Big man.
Good morning to you.